going out with Luke Combs this summer. So my first run of stadium tours. So if I'm not comfortable on stage right now, I better figure it out quick,
Jordan Davis, good to see you again.
Good to see you again. Thank you for having me.
It's a pleasure. Welcome back to the UK.
Thank you. It's been awesome.
I've just been thinking about this. We caught up just when you were here less than a year ago now for Country to Country.
Yeah.
You just got off a flight, you were jet lagged, and you still turned that switch on and you were a total pro. So here we go again. And I mean, you've just done a series of shows in Scandinavia and continental Europe.
Yep.
And you've just got to the UK. I mean, first of all, how was that over there in
It was
those
awesome. Places? It was awesome. First time we've done a headline and run over there and got to go back to, because in 2019 I came over with Old Dominion as a support act. And so to be able to go back and hit some of those markets that we'd hit now as a headliner, and the shows went awesome. But then also to hit some cities that we'd never been to. Stockholm, we'd never been to. Zurich, we'd never been to. So it was cool to see, I always say it's like, I moved to Nashville in 2012, and if you would have told me that we'd be doing this in 2024, doing a headlining tour in Europe, I would think you're crazy. So it's cool to get to experience it.
And the tentacles of country music is spreading further and further now, isn't it? Like you say, imagine you were probably thinking, well, I wouldn't even be bothered going to Europe back then.
No.
And now look.
I know. In 10 years, a little over 10 years, I feel like it is just like, it's truly becoming a major market. Obviously London, but like I would have never thought we'd go to Cologne or wherever and be able to have the shows that we're having. It's special.
And what's the reaction, for someone like you who the vast majority of your time you're in the States and you know the audience you're serving and so on, they know what to expect from you. But so you go to a completely new market for you, like you just said. What's it like? Yeah. I mean,
there's a few more nerves, I think, than, because you wonder about that. You don't know how it's going to, you don't know what they're going to connect with. I've noticed that it's the same. The crowds feel the same, maybe a little more attentive in some of the European spots, but like, man, it's like it's just as much fun. I think the first time coming over, somebody explained it's like, oh, it's more of a listening crowd, So I remember we came over and we kind of stuck to more like singer-songwritery stuff, and then we would get off stage and be like, they were ready to go, like they were ready to get rowdy. So we haven't done that this time. We brought the exact same show that we do in the States over here, and the response has been awesome.
And it speaks volumes as well. I mean, like we say, you've done the European, the continental bit of that now, and you've just arrived in the UK.
Yep.
But you've got 7 or 8 shows here in the UK because you're touring all around. I mean, that speaks volumes too, doesn't it? The fact that there's so much demand.
Yeah, it's wild. I mean, and yes, it's just a thing that like I never thought that we'd be here. But I'm glad. It's awesome for us. Even personally, to get to see, this is really like the first time, even with C2C, like I've never really got to see a lot of London. And so like this time we're here for a couple of days, getting to see just another beautiful part of the world. And the people are so amazing. Like everybody's super nice, and sometimes you don't get that in the States. So like, it's like, it's just cool for us to come and visit and then get to do what we love to do, and that's play live music.
I was curious, but I'll get onto that in a second or two. But I was curious as well from the point of view that you obviously tour with the band, and you mentioned earlier, and I was scratching my head thinking you'd mentioned you got to the UK on a ferry. I'm thinking, why didn't you just get a plane? But then there's a tour bus involved too, right?
Yeah, we're all on a bus this time. Because the first time I came over, we were just in a little hatchback, traveling all over, and we were following Old Dominion's bus, which, to be honest with you, was a lot of fun because, I felt like we got to see a lot and had a little bit more control over, where we could stop. If we get thirsty, we could just dip into a pub. But, like, it makes it a little easier in the bus. And, too, like, the ferry was awesome. We don't get a chance to really have that over there. So pulling up, seeing the cliffs of Dover was really, really cool. Yeah, it's just such a unique way of touring that's pretty exciting.
Well, I just wanted to get a little deeper in for fans of yours, because we get our country stars coming, they come and they go. So whilst you're here now, what's your routine? If you're doing a whole series of gigs, so
Yeah.
you've got the next week and a half or so, can you genuinely step back and can you dip into London and go to the pub or go and see a show, or are you seriously just focused on your work here?
Yeah, I've tried to mix it in. I like, as far as sightseeing, I think early on I maybe did a little bit too much, and then you're getting ready for the show and you're like, I probably shouldn't have stayed out as late as I did. And not even like really, nightlife. We're pretty boring after a show. Everybody's pretty tired, but you want to see places that you've never been to. You want to go roam around Germany, or you want to go see the palace and you want to see stuff. But in the back of your mind, you're always like, all right, it's 2:00. I got sound check here in a little bit. Still got to play a show. It's definitely, I have to remind myself that, hey, you're over there on business. So enjoy it a little bit, but like don't get too wild with it.
Not a full-time tourist,
Yeah,
just
yeah,
a part-time. So we're about 4 hours or so away from your set tonight, right? Your opener in the UK.
Yep.
You're very chilled, you're very relaxed. That came across last time too. Are you going to do a sound check, or have you done that already?
I've already done it.
Awesome.
Yeah, we did it earlier today, so I'm good to go.
Yeah,
Like,
yeah. So you're just that's why you're so chilled.
absolutely,
now.
absolutely.
Okay.
And I mean, this is the show we've had this one circled.
Yeah.
I remember 2019 being here in the same room as the opener, and remember how special that show was. The crowd knowing not just the singles and the songs that we had out at the time, but album cuts and early stuff. So to be able to be there tonight, full production, full band, is gonna be awesome.
You're making me even keener to see you.
I
now.
know, it's gonna be awesome, man.
I
It's a
can't
good
wait.
show.
I can't wait. I was checking out your socials just before you came in here, and you were playing an acoustic song the other day. Was it maybe when you were over in continental Europe? If Good News Sold.
Yeah.
What a tune that is. I mean,
Oh, thank you.
I mean, genuinely, I mean it. It just jumped out.
Thank you very much. Yeah, so that was our thank you for this tour. The tickets were amazing on this tour, and so many people were coming out, new fans, old fans, the messages, and the only way to say thank you that we kind of came up with was we'd had that song for a little bit and knew we were going to release it, but we wanted the first time for that to be played live was on this leg of the tour. So we're going to play it again tonight, and I think we're going to release it here at the end of this month. But that's a song that I think is going to speak to a lot of people, and a lot of bad news out there. So sometimes you got to go searching for the good.
And thank goodness for music and songs like that
Absolutely.
too, especially now, like you say.
Absolutely.
We were having a little chat in the office before you came in, and a number of people said, "Oh, you've got to talk to him about that's By Dirt with Luke Bryan, right?"
Yep.
I wanted to ask you, how did that? I know it's a little while ago now, but it was a massive hit for you, both of you. How did that come about?
Yeah. So I wrote that with my brother and two of my best buddies and two of my oldest co-writing friends in Nashville. We wrote that on a writer's retreat one weekend. We kind of got outside of Nashville and just went down to just focus on writing songs. And, that was advice that my grandpa had always kind of said. It kind of comes back to something that he kind of drilled into us, which was, faith, family, and friends. And that's, to me, that is what that song means. And then once we finished it, I couldn't get Luke singing on it out of my head, mainly because Luke is all about buying land. Like that's his thing. He's a big hunter, fisher, and so he's always acquiring land. And I just knew it was going to resonate with him. And so I actually texted him. I was texting the song, and I was like, man, Luke, if you want to sing on this, I would love to have you. He called me right back. I mean, however long the song is how long it was in between the text going to him, and told me that he loved it, and he said he wanted to sit with it a minute to make sure it was right for him. So he made me sweat it out for a week. But he finally called me back and was like, hey, man, let's get in the studio and sing this thing. And it became the song it is, I think, because Luke was on it.
What a genius thing to do, though, as well. Just try to get him involved, and it worked.
Yeah.
That was the thing.
I felt like I was texting the pretty girl in high school, and I was so nervous. I read that text message like 10 times, you know? I'm like, does that sound okay? Oh, that sounds beggy. Let me rewrite it. Yeah. So it took a little while to get to him.
That's a brilliant story. Will he reply? Will
I
he
know.
like it? You know, all that sort of stuff. I've got to ask you as well. Do you have anybody else in your mind? Because the country's changing all the time, as you well know.
Oh, yeah.
New artists, left, right, and centre. We're keeping on top of it here, and we're introducing them to our audience.
Yeah.
Is there anyone else on the scene right now you think, oh, maybe they'd work with this song or an idea or?
I think it's for me. It's always been with all those songs. The song has come first, and then I try to find who would benefit it. I've never had any success in having somebody in mind going and writing a song, and it just never worked out that way. There's tons of amazing new artists coming up. Ashley Cook, who's with us tonight, is one of my favorite up and coming artists. Cody Johnson is a guy that. I've always been a fan of, but sometimes it's getting out of the country genre, which is cool about where country's at now. It's like you don't just have somebody that's listening to country music; they listen to whatever. And I mean, I'm a huge fan of Holly Humberstone, who's over and so I listen to everybody. So it's kind of whoever makes the song better. That's how I usually try to go about finding a duet.
Yeah, so it's that way round. So it's great having you in front of me because occasionally I'm playing your songs on the radio, and I'm wondering these things.
Yeah.
But to get it from you yourself, you mentioned Ashley as well. I caught her a couple of times at Country to Country too,
Yeah.
and that's a real bonus, isn't it? Because as a fan, you go along and see the main act, but if the opener is also brilliant, well then it's win-win, isn't it?
Yeah, I mean, it just makes the night that much better. From start to finish. Just her songwriting, I think, is so unique and obviously an amazing voice and so comfortable. I told her right before we left because she was at soundcheck. I wish I had the comfort on stage and confidence that she has in 2 years of kind of touring. She's just such a natural. It's awesome when you have somebody that can kind of go out and kick the show off right, and she's doing that.
These young people, they just have this natural ability. I tell my sons this. It's taken me this long to get to wherever I'm. He's like 24 and he's got it. And I think, hang on, how did that work? But
I know.
It seems to be the thing.
I had to, it took me forever to get comfortable on stage. Like, going and playing little bitty hole in the wall bars in Alabama, just trying to figure out how to play with a band. And I see Ashley do it, and I'm like, God, just gifted.
It's just
That's
the way
it.
it is in
Yeah.
2024. So what's next for you? I mean, obviously, you've just landed here. You're good to go for the UK. But what's, on the timeline, have you got, like, new music lined up? A new album? What's next for you?
A lot of it, I feel like songwriters are always working on a new album. You're just trying to wait until you get the group of songs that feel like they need to be released. We're really close. When I get back to the States, we're going to go in and start recording. And then we've got to, bringing the tour back over to the States and finishing over there this year. And then also going out with Luke Combs this summer. So my first run of stadium tours. So if I'm not comfortable on stage right now, I better figure it out quick, But no, it's gonna be a big year. But I think main part right now is making sure I get this album finished right and feeling like we're continuing to build on our last project. So I'm hoping to get that out, this year, possibly early next year.
And you've had an amazing run, haven't you? Of like those hits just kept coming. So
Super blessed. Blessed.
Fingers crossed that continues. One other thing, I was just curious. You mentioned you with Ashley and who lines up as your opener, and also you're working with Luke Combs. For people listening and watching this, how does that work? How do you decide who's going to open for you, or Luke Combs' case decides on you? How does it work?
For me, I do have a huge hand in picking the opening act. So back in the States, Mitchell Tenpenny's joining us. We tried to get him on this one, and we just had some conflict. But, I think it's with Luke, I would say that, we got a chance to go out with him I guess it was last year, and hit it off. So for me, it was cool that he asked us to come back out. You know, it kind of shows that you're doing something right,
Yeah.
and you're not a jerk. So he doesn't want you off the tour. So he asked you to come back out. But for me, I think it's just you know the same kind of the same fan. You know, you don't want to do anything too far off of what your music is. So I thought me, Mitchell, and Ashley were the perfect kind of combo. Mitchell does something, you know, an amazing singer, and you know has a different style than me. Ashley, totally different style, but I think our fan is the same fan, and I think that a person that enjoys my music or that may just be coming to see me, you get to introduce them to two people that I believe in, which is Mitchell and Ashley. So, you know, there's a lot that goes into it, but I think the final straw is that, you know, being able to introduce them to you're a fan and it not feel too weird.
And everybody needs that leg up, don't they? And you said earlier,
Oh,
you know,
gosh.
you were the opener there for, you know, way back. So everybody
Many
needs
times.
that little thing.
Absolutely. I mean, I still, you know, Chase Rice was a guy that took me out for the first time ever and allowed me to start building a fan base. And then Old Dominion followed. Luke has, you know, helped me out, you know, taking me on that tour and then allowing me to come back out, you know, and to, you know, widen your fan base and get your music out even more. So I'm very grateful for the support slots that I've gotten.
Absolutely. Well, listen, it's an absolute pleasure again to catch up with you.
Absolutely. Thank you for having me. This has been great.
And I'm looking forward to seeing you in less than 4 hours.
I know.
You'll be up there, and I'll
Yeah.
kind of be going, I was talking to him earlier.
Yeah.
But listen, best of luck with the UK tour generally as well.
Thank you very much. I appreciate it.
And it's a pleasure to have you back.
Thank you very much.